Hi and welcome. It's Pauline Crawford-Omps. I'm CEO of Corporate Heart International, known as the Ambassador of Magical Conversation, and I am delighted today to introduce Judy Antisdel, who is the CEO, founder of AT Direct, Print, Mail and Marketing. But more importantly, she's a winner of a competition for the MB, the Minority Business Enterprise, called Women Who Rock. So welcome, Judy. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
What was it like to win that award for Women Who Rock? Was that a great accolade for you?
You know, it's always nice to win an award and be recognized.
Yeah.
I remember when I was very small, and I was growing up in high school, and I never won any awards. I was never the best. And I always wanted one. You know, I remember we lettered in high school, and my best friend and I were the only two not to get a letter on the basketball team. And it hurt, you know, it really hurt. So I actually, when I was younger, I took my dad's war medals, you know, and I put them in a case and pretended they were mine. And it's funny, is later along in life as we've gone, under the tutelage of my company, we've won many awards, diversity awards, Minority Business Awards, Women Who Rock Awards, and lots of things. But to me, it's a testament to the entire company. I might be the natural-born leader, so to speak, but the energy I give out, you know, it comes back to me tenfold. And I think that's why the awards are fun. It's sort of like this cosmic energy coming back to you saying, hey, you did something, and it counts. But you know, the first time it lasted forever, and then, you know, it didn't last forever, but it's nice to have. But again, it's saying that, you know, we have something special going on here, that we're not only good at what we do, but we're good at helping others be good at what they do. And so that's why it's important to me.
That's great. And I know that you're involved with a non-for-profit organization, which is across your sector of the market. But today I really wanted to ask you about your experience in working with men, because I've been interviewing men about men today to gain some understanding about how they feel about the world where women are coming forward. We are in great numbers building enterprises and building businesses and becoming part of the fabric of the economy. How do you see that what's happening for men today, and some of your experiences of how to help them manage the transition?
When I was a lot younger, I loved baseball, and the boys wouldn't let me play. So I got some books out of the library, and I learned how to slide, and I threw, and I practiced catching, and eventually they let me play. And it was funny because one of my mom's neighbors said to me, Judy, when you were way big, right, she said all the boys were walking up the street to the ball field, and you were the last one. She said, now that you're a teen, all the boys are following you walking up to the ball field or wherever you tend to go, you know. And, you know, it was a matter of, you know, I had to prove that I was as good, which meant sometimes I had to be better. I think that at where I am now at age 63 and running this business and other organizations for God knows how long, I believe that depending on the gentleman and how he was brought up, what his beliefs are, what position he's in, who he reports to or not, all tend to make them a certain type of personality, which then drives the way they talk to women or respond to women. So it is and will always be challenging for sure. I think personally, what I try to do is figure out how to open a conversation to make anyone as relaxed as they can be, where they're more open to discuss. I do believe that a lot of the male gentlemen I work with in my industry, you know, they tend to want to be right more often. And that's okay, you know. There's a way for someone to feel they're right, even if they aren't. And I think it's probably challenging because for so long, you know, let's go back to the 60s, you know, and all of that. You know, the woman was in the dress in the household, and the man would come home and get the pipe and the whole 9 yards. And I grew up in a household like that,
Yeah, that's me
um,
too.
right? But there
Yeah.
was always something inside of me that said, I want to do it my way. Some of the mentors in my industry, they were all men, just about all men except one. And I was lucky that they embraced someone that was younger and a bit aggressive and brazen, because I didn't know how else to, get through their strengths, or let's look at it now as their weakness. But they helped me. And over a period of time, if I wanted to get further in life, and I saw a goal I wanted, I didn't let a man get in the way. I didn't get in this business because it was a man's world, and I'm not doing well because it was a man's world. I got in this business because it felt like something I could do, and I wasn't going to let anybody stay in my way, male or female. And along the way, I grew up a bit and learned how to treat people with kindness, even if they don't always treat me with kindness.
Yeah,
For me,
because you explain a bit, your industry is the industry sector, it's the postal mailing
yeah, it's
sector.
postal and mailing. So most
So
of my
it's changed a lot, hasn't it? It's changed a lot over your
it's changed
time.
a lot. It used to be mostly male dominated. I wouldn't say it's female dominated, but it's certainly probably 70% female and 30 or 40% male, depending on how you tip it. But that's really come about because our industry was so wealthy and did so well when it was first around. Mail was the way to advertise for least amount of money. But as time went on, and those gentlemen that started their own businesses and their families came on and they've gone on, they learned they had to hire people that were smart in all divisions in all ways. And I think that's part of what helped, the chain reaction, that there are some things that women actually might be as good as or better than men, and it's dealing with relationship building and emotions and all of that. Relationship building is everything, I think, and that's where I think a lot of guys have a hard problem, is that building that relationship.
Yes. So it's really about, because you told me some of where you were only one or two women in a whole group of men. Now that's shifted to kind of 70% women,
right.
30% men. Do the men enjoy having the women around? Is that, because a lot of the men I interviewed, they said that they felt that men were confused about what women really wanted. Do you think that's true?
Are we confused what any of us want? I mean, that's pretty natural, right?
Well, that's right, yeah.
Well, I think that there are certain men that are confused. They don't know what women really want. And, think of the high school prom, right? There was the wily woman and the sexy woman and the one that tanned too much. And you saw in high school, the guys wanted the, well-chested, blonde hair, blue-eyed, attractive, no-waist gal. It was a status symbol. It meant you had arrived in high school.
Yes.
I think that translates well now. They want to be surrounded by people, but they don't always know what they want. Most of those relationships in high school, people broke up. Very few got married or were happily married or still happily married. I think if you can put the right situation and use the right language, emotional, physical, verbal, I think you can help a man understand what you want and make them more comfortable. And you can also just directly ask, I don't want you. I've been asked many places, no, I don't want you. What I want you to do is help me be better at my profession and do well. So, you got to find that balance there, I think.
Yes, it's one of the things in studying this across the world is that women, we are a different animal, if you like. Sort of, I say sometimes we're like birds and the men are like bears, because they're very solid and stoic and they kind of keep on going. Whereas we can be very flexible and fly around the place. How do we have this situation, certainly in America, where a lot of the bigger companies, there's 75% of the workforce are female, but the top is still men. What would you, if you had the opportunity to say to an all-male board the value of having women there, what would you say?
Well, I would say that the smartest people in the world pick the smartest people who are smarter than they are to work with them and make them look better.
Yeah.
It's like a good old boys club. and we're comfortable in situations with like-minded people. So where men, many men, not all, show a different set of emotions and a different set of boundaries, I decided I was not going to be the woman that was like a man in order to work in a man's world. I was always going to be who I was, authentic and as genuine as I could be.
Yes.
And I think if we could just get guys to understand that there are authentic, genuine people, and you can help each other out, I think they'd be much more comfortable. The other thing is, and this hasn't happened for a very long time, probably because I'm older, but, it was always that sexual edge, hey, how about I take you here? How about Judy, I want to get you a gun. You're a small woman, and you take money to the bank at night, and, I'm going to show you how to use it, and how about we have dinner? And, none of that's going to work for me, because, one, I don't want to kill anybody, but, it's just a matter of saying it's okay not to travel in the same pack. We're not wolves. We're human beings. And also the propensity to be who you are because of the habitat or the behavioral around you growing up, you can change. My mother was psychotic and my brother's on the spectrum, and I had a very emotional dad that acted like he was a sailor when other people were around. But the point was, I don't have to be who they are. I can take a little bit of each of them, and I think that's the same thing for guys. So if you're uncomfortable and you're around women that put you off, find out what trigger, what button inside of you is making you feel that way.
Yeah.
A very smart person said to me one day, Judy, because people don't always like your ideas, that doesn't mean they don't like you. And we can flip that right back around. So if someone doesn't feel that they're being liked or respected, or they're smart enough or they're good enough, then they're not going to want to hang out with people that they feel are making them feel that way. Yeah. But 90% of the time, it's our own buttons that we're pushing from something in the past to make us respond the way we do. So I think if a gentleman asked me, what would you do, Judy, so you're more comfortable, I'd say, turn the buttons off. Yeah. And start just taking in the moment and breathe and listen and watch and embrace the goodness and the wonderfulness of everybody in that boardroom.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that would be really good advice for everybody to watch their triggers and to breathe and relax. So in terms of these, because I think there's something happening across the world. I don't know whether you know, but recently there was a roundtable summit of top corporate men who signed a pledge to change their viewpoint about the value of people in the business over profit. So this is a major step forward, but my challenge is, what are they going to do about it? It's good for them to acknowledge it. And these were, major corporates who will be in that Fortune 500 list. So it's the first time they've signed that. So it's a step forward. It's a bit like having a mandate for putting one woman on board and this whole campaign for women on board 2020. I tend to wonder whether by doing it by law or by kind of these kind of policy statements, whether it really happens in our heart. Because what you're saying, I believe, like me, is that you've got to change your point of view here.
Right. Right. And
here, and see the value of. That's why I see it. For me, it's so obvious that having a great mixture of talent in the boardroom would be good for any company.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah. So especially if the 75% of the workforce is female.
Right. Again, I think that our behaviors have a lot to do with how we think we should be, or how we perceive we're being the perception of it is who we are. And I think that that's pretty much human nature. Yes. It's allowing ourselves to step outside. It's allowing a guy in a boardroom or a man in a boardroom to say, I want to bring in Judy because she's good at marketing and she's done some things that really help companies. She could help ours, right? And then standing up to that, not being afraid if somebody's like, oh, she's not pretty enough, or what do you mean you really want her here, or, why did you bring a woman in, or whatever. I think for men to break the mold, they would see the value of partnership and relationship over sexual shift, so to speak, right?
Yes.
That, two heads are better than one, and certainly one can be a woman and one can be a man as well as two of either,
Yes.
It's allowing ourselves to focus on where we want to be, not where we are. What could happen with people that are smarter than I am or just as smart? Wow, man, they make me look smarter, right? Instead of, I don't want to get caught thinking I'm dumber. It's changing the attitude.
Yes.
I've been really lucky over the years because I've had that opportunity to be part of the conversation on let's change the attitude. Instead of being afraid of who I am in my industry, help me be better and I'll help you be better. And 90% of the time, I think we've been able to achieve that together with all the really cool guys in my life. And, I'm one of those people when I leave, I'll automatically tell you I love you, even if I just met you. And it's funny how many guys will say, I'm like, love you, Bob. And they're like, love you, Judy. And then they look. They hear me say that, right? And, it's okay. It's okay. That's how I feel about it.
Well, it is. But it brings up a very interesting point because I've been studying some of the stuff online, and it would seem that sometimes in the boardroom or the management team, when men hear the word love, they do think about that means sex. Whereas women, we just love because we love. I love that outfit. I love you. I love my lipstick. I love the world. I love today. It's like it's a different part of the vocabulary. And I think that's a really interesting part because now you've got a lot of men's groups who are gathering all around the world. I link into a lot of those, and they're men getting together to be able to talk about their emotions. So there's still that gap between that then becoming an okay word to use for business. So in my world, the idea of a corporate heart is that we understand the heart of everybody ticking, and essentially it's either love or fear. And if it's fear, then it's controlling and it's vicious and it's toxic. If it's love, then it's healthy and happy and harmonious. So I think that the words that we use are so important, aren't they?
No, I think everything we say and do is important. But, if someone says I need help and they don't let me help them, then there's not a lot I can do except say, when you need me, I'll be here. I do think that we're progressing. I do think that in my situation now in my life, I have incredible respect from all the men that I work with. And I think part of that is probably because like we were talking one day, I didn't just run through it or run away from it or run around it. I just ran to it and figured out how to fix it and how to work with it. And I think that eventually anybody of any good sod out there is going to see another good person and finally let down. And if they don't, you know what? Go to another board, go to another company, write a book, become a YouTube singing star. Because there's so many things out there you can do. Don't ever let anybody put you in their shadow. If you do, then you didn't want to be there anyway. Don't let them put you in your shadow. Just say, hey, I'm not going to be in your shadow. I'm moving on. There's somebody that's going to want you, that needs you, that loves you, that's going to figure out that you are smarter than they are, and you make them look much smarter because of that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Don't let anybody put you in their shadow. That's an extremely wise quote that I will use from you, Judy. I think it's wonderful.
No, I mean, why would you want to, right?
Yeah. But I think a lot of people still do. We've still got, sadly, so many arguments and people victimizing themselves as well as being victimized. And that's why these kind of conversations and your story is so important for women and for men to know that we've got a world to sort out. Let's get on with it.
And you're right. We do have a world to sort out. And I'm not a political person, nor would I dare state any political view. But, I'll tell you this. If someone wants to do good, they can find the path to do good. If somebody wants to do what they want to do, they're going to find a path to do that too. Yeah. So I say, get on your skateboard and go around the those that don't want to play in your sandbox, invite those in that do. And, those that come in and turn bad, put the water hose on them, right?
Yeah.
Make them.
Yeah.
Life's too short, and.
Oh, absolutely. I did a post yesterday about why are we still arguing? Well, argument is such a waste of time when we've got so much to do.
I think argument is just a diversion from the truth. You learn that in any kind of counseling. Those that try to stop you from talking about what the issue is don't want to talk about the issue. They don't want to be pinned down. They don't want to show their true colors. And a lot of times they don't want to show they don't know really much about it.
Yeah.
So, they try to diversify you into anything else they can think of, including, hey, let's go get a soda or something. Anything to stop discussing something. Uncomfortable conversations are only uncomfortable because we're afraid of the outcome or how we'll look. If you take that away and just sit down as two people, and we'll say a man and a woman, forget Adam and Eve and whatever they did or didn't eat these days.
Yeah.
But, if you just sit down together and you're in a situation where you have to conquer something and work together, you'll find out you can. It's all a matter of do you want to, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you're a very wise woman, a woman who rocks and is wise as well. So thank you so much for coming on this interview. And we'll see what your comments out there, those of you who watch this, what do you feel is going on for men and for women? And how can we make the world a better place? Thank you for watching.